Hello and welcome. This video is a special representation of the first of a three-part series delving into the intricate realm of Jungian psychology. Today, our focus centers on the concept of the animus. You might be curious as to why we are delving into Jungian psychology. The rationale lies in our recent exploration of the soul, a theme which has dominated our discussions on this channel over the past few months. While I have never been particularly fixated on answering the question, what is the soul? My engagements with atheists, especially during the now defunct Garstream's era, frequently brought forth discussions about the soul. Motivated by these interactions, I initiated a year-long reading project. The objective was to navigate through pivotal theological topics, examining the core writings that have shaped our contemporary understanding of various theological matters. This journey involved reading the works of later church doctors and heretics, totaling 52 books. Despite Gerstreams being a thing of the past and my audience dwindling as a result to a party of one, myself, the pursuit remains significant. So I invite you to accompany me on this journey. Here is an overly brief summary of our journey so far. We commenced our adventure with Aristotle's De Anima, where we discovered what the soul is not. Progressing to Augustine, we confronted his arguments against heresies that had emerged regarding the conceptualization of the soul. For Augustine, these heresies, once defined, carried implications of the dangers surrounding the prevalent ideas of his day about the soul. His warnings changed the Western understanding of the transformative process of theosis. Consequently, the Latin West of Christendom missed out on the developments of various Eastern theological and mystical notions spanning Greek, Persian, and East Asian theories and understandings of the soul and about the soul. The trajectory of understanding the soul faced stagnation with the advent of Thomas Aquinas and Augustine, as fear of being declared a heretic or blasphemer by going against these giants of Christian thought left many interesting and intriguing ideas quieted by censor or fear of excommunication, if not fear of being burnt at the stake, quelling any momentum in the pursuit of studying this profound concept, basically eliminating novel ideas and interesting theories. But all is not lost. As we advance to the Enlightenment, the resurgence of atheism, particularly with Nietzsche, and the emergence of existentialism post-Kierkegaard, we encounter discussions on the soul. Here I think of Kierkegaard himself and what he posits in his work titled Concluding Unscientific Postscripts, and the insights that this work offers into the soul, albeit not an exhaustive exploration. The subsequent periods witness a proliferation of pop science, pop theology, occultism, and esoteric ideas surrounding the soul, lacking any actual connection to the sources these popish authors claimed. Much of the discourse stemmed from misguided mythologies propagated through popular entertainment, ranging from Paradise Lost and Dante to contemporary Hollywood interpretations, all of which missed the mark in defining the soul. Contrary to prevalent misconceptions, the soul is not an angelic entity, nor does death transform oneself into an angel. Significantly, the Western understanding of the soul does finally experience a transformative leap with the advent of Jungian psychology. Jungian archetypes introduced a secular perspective wherein the soul and spirit each symbolizes distinct facets of the psyche. Drawing parallels to the yin and yang in Eastern philosophy, each individual possesses both male and female aspects. This duality extends beyond a mere sexual context, resembling, though not quite identical to, our modern understanding of the word gender. To neglect either aspect within oneself leads to psychological imbalances. Determining the archetype one should emulate depends on the cultural and social context one is in. This archetype forming an ethereal guide for self-reflection and self-actualization. Exploring the dynamics of the animus within the context of Jungian psychology reveals a nuanced interplay between cultural and individual definitions of masculinity and femininity. The spirit that resides within an individual, despite its ungendered nature, manifest binary aspects, male and female, contributing to a nuanced understanding of gender dynamics within oneself and with how one relates to the rest of the world. In the examination of this phenomenon, Emma Young's essay in her work on the nature of the animus underscores the impact of imbalance on the female persona. Overemphasis on either the masculine tendencies or female tendencies to the point of not acknowledging one's own feminine aspects or masculine aspects results in a psychological backlash, leading to an improper interaction with either one's masculine or feminine side. Conversely, an undue dominance of the masculine or feminine side diminishes certain facets of either one's femininity or masculinity, constituting a form of social or psychological malaise. Striking a balance is crucial, with a recognition that a feminine individual should inherently possess a slightly greater degree of femininity than masculine, and vice versa. This asymmetry is essential for the perpetuation of a dynamic equilibrium. As perfect balance equates to stagnation, a state akin to death. For males, the integration of the masculine and feminine aspects requires a delicate equilibrium. Embracing masculinity while acknowledging and incorporating the feminine side ensures psychological health. Striving for an idealized, healthy male archetype serves as a benchmark for psychological development. This, however, does not entail a rigid definition of man, but rather a comparative analysis of the male self with a male archetype which is of well and good psychological health. The development of the male persona is inherently driven by internal factors such as hormones, biology, and psychology. The responsibility of the self to the society and community at large in regard to his own animus lies in taming and controlling its development for optimal functioning. In contrast, the female experience of the anima diverges or differs from the male in that it involves men as represented in a group and not in an idealized single figure. The single figure, often personified in early attachments, resembling Freudian Oedipal or Electrian concepts, while for both the male and the female person, these archetypes are representative of generalities rather than reflective of actual individuals, and can even be made up of assumptions, not actualities. And this can contribute to the incongruent manifestation of an idealized, or I should say, idolized fantasy. And these fantasies can have many variations and forms. Consequently, when males construct their female archetypes, these are often rooted in fantastical desires or fears rather than in a genuine understanding of an actual real-life woman. For me, when exploring the realm of Jungian archetypes, the Hegelian concept of a world soul or the world soul becomes integral to understanding the male and female perspectives. For men, the archetype is often personified in the form of an idealized woman, drawing from influential figures in their lives or constructing fantasy representations based on fictions. Conversely, for women, the archetype transcends individual men and is more aligned with a collective understanding of a patriarchy, a group of sages or wise men. These masculine archetypes are face-shifting shapeshifters, while potentially influenced by real men, primarily derive from the woman's perspective of how this collective group of men interacts within their societal context. Concluding our exploration of the Jungian understanding of the female animus, we now look into the male side of the female psyche. It is essential to recognize that this aspect is often shaped by observations of men in group settings. However, a potential pitfall arises when individuals misinterpret the immature behaviors of men known in their environment, who may act in a strikingly immature manner. These misconceptions lead to an erroneous alignment of immature male actions, and it confuses these actions with archetypal male behaviors. What they perceive as masculine tendencies may mirror the unbalanced actions of boys or developing men who have not yet found internal equilibrium. The key lies in fostering a healthy male aspect within the female soul. By discerning and internalizing the behaviors of mature, well-balanced men, thus replacing or at least influencing their understanding of their own masculine tendencies in a more healthy way, with more healthy limitations and better standards. In our discussion of the soul, we have labeled the psychological understanding of what the soul is under the term psyche, and have further labeled the spirits of potential which it contains within it, awaiting to be actualized, as the animus and anima, the yin and yang, the male and female aspects of the self. It is crucial to emphasize that these polarities do not denote a sex-based distinction of dominance or submission. Rather, they symbolize psychological dynamics within an individual's consciousness. To be submissive or receptive, to be active or dismissive of the irrational. The intricate interplay of societal constructs, cultural influences, and personal experiences shape the development of the soul, creating a nuanced cocktail that is one's personality. The evolving concept of the soul as consciousness has both its champions and its detractors, with figures like Jimmy Akin adhering to a more restrictive definition, throwing aside an Aristotelian understanding in favor of a Thomistic or Augustinian negative definition. These negative definitions being what Thomas Aquinas and Augustine argued what the soul is not. Limits how much we can acknowledge the progress made in the understanding of the soul from other venues, including Greek Orthodoxy and Eastern mysticism, Buddhism, as well as those of Western psychology, sociology, and psychiatry. Critical contention arises when one defines the soul as the part of the self that is unchanging, particularly when confronted with instances of personality changes due to brain damage. Contrarily, Eastern mysticism and theology, particularly that of Greek Orthodox theology and East Asian perspectives, such as those from Buddhism and Taoism, posit a more malleable soul that develops through life experiences, challenging the assumptions of a static conscious self, which is observing rather than participating in life through its active will. As we navigate the intricacies of Western and Eastern understandings of the soul, these differences in approaches and conclusions become more explicit when adopting a secular psychological viewpoint or standpoint. This three-part exploration has sought to unravel the complexities surrounding the animus, offering a foundational understanding for future discussions. This part one of a three-part exploration about the soul has sought to unravel the complexities surrounding the animus, offering a foundational understanding for future discussions. In the upcoming installments, we will dive into the anima, accumulating in a comprehensive discussion in a third video. I trust this video has piqued your interest. Until next time, peace.